Well, hello there, Internet. I'm back. My face has made a significant recovery. Still a little sore, still a little swollen, but I did manage to crawl my way through the apathetic fog of opiate-based painkillers and get caught up on all my reading. I'm still a huge fan of the incredibly unique and dynamic storytelling medium that is comic book, and I want to share that appreciation with you. I'm going to do that today by talking about my favorite single-issue new release from the 26th of August, which is the 4th issue of Fight Club 2. My name is Addison, and this is the comic book Scramble. Now, Fight Club 2 is a 10-issue miniseries being published by Dark Horse Comics. And, as the name suggests, it is the sequel to the 1996 novel Fight Club. The author is Chuck Palahniuk, Cameron Stewart is drawing the lines, and Dave Stewart did colors. The author, Chuck Palahniuk, is an accomplished novelist, probably most famous for his novel Fight Club. However, he has written a slew of other successful novels. My personal favorite, aside from Fight Club, is called Lullaby. And in May of this year, he released a collection of short stories called Make Something Up, Stories You Can't Unread. And one of these short stories is actually a prequel to Fight Club and revolves around Tyler Durden. His website is chuckpalahniuk.net, and I'll leave a link to that in the description below. Artist Cameron Stewart won an Eisner Award in 2010 for his webcomic Sin Titulo. And in 2014, he began co-authoring Batgirl for DC Comics. I'll leave a link to his webcomic in the description below. Now, I've talked about colorist Dave Stewart's work in a previous episode where I was discussing Starved issue number 3. So obviously this guy's artwork really flicks my bean. But what else could you expect from an 8-time Eisner Award winner? Some of his previous work includes Umbrella Academy and Hellboy, both of which won Eisner Awards. I'll leave a link to his Twitter in the description below. The 3 big things that I like to talk about when discussing comics on this show are paneling, coloring, and sound effects. However, before I dive into this issue, I want to give a little context to the story that's being told. Fight Club 2 takes place 10 years after the events of the original Fight Club novel. The narrator is going by the name Sebastian, and he's married to Marla Singer. Now, he's been taking medication to suppress Tyler, but unknown to him, Tyler has been alive and well, actively maintaining and expanding Project Mayhem. This changes when Tyler kidnaps Sebastian and Marla's son, and Sebastian is forced to re-enter the world of Project Mayhem in an attempt to save his child. The first thing that I should point out is that the majority of this issue uses a very rigid and simplistic format consisting of very linear sequential panels. Now, it would be very easy to make the assumption that this is the result of unimaginative craftsmanship. However, what this actually does is a fantastic job of underlining the structured monotony of Sebastian and Marla's suburban life. Something that is further highlighted by the use of beige colors and manila tones. The characteristics of this lifestyle is something that is rooted down to the very core of the story being told. This is a Generation X midlife crisis, and Tyler has returned to save Sebastian from himself and from suburbia. So this really rigid and repetitive format is essentially a stage for the story to be told, and it greatly increases the dramatic effect of pages where we do get to see deviation from that format. The first deviation from that structure that we see in this issue is on this page here. And the great thing about this page is that it really juxtaposes the duality of Sebastian and Tyler's personalities. In this scene, Marla initially believes that she's interacting with Sebastian, and the sequence is presented in that rigid format that I was talking about. However, as soon as she realizes who she's actually interacting with, the sequence abruptly shifts to a half-page spread of a house on fire, which is a great representation of Tyler's personality and his goals. Further deviating from the general tone of the book, we see the smaller panels having red colors, directly in opposition to the beige color set used on the top half of the page. This series is doing something unique that I haven't seen done before, and the best example is on this page here. Now, throughout the majority of the page, we have this very rank and file paneling throughout the entire page until we get to the very bottom where we have this flashback panel of Marla hitting Sebastian across the face with the cover to the tank from the toilet. Now, I love the way that this panel is out of sync with the rest of the page and the use of color to indicate that it's an event separate from what's occurring on the rest of the page. But what makes this page really special is the bloody tooth sitting on top of the next panel over. There are other examples of this in previous issues, and I love it. It's fun, creative, and breaking the fourth wall. making the reader a part of the story. Like I've said, this is the first time that I've seen this done, but if you've seen something like this before, leave me a comment in the comment section below because I'd love to see other examples of this. The next page that I want to talk about involves a significant plot point for the issue, and it's this page here. This is the reintroduction of Angel Face from the first Fight Club novel, after he's been going to Fight Club for the past 10 years. First off, the character is just wonderfully drawn, and the way that he's stepping out of the shadows is really intimidating. However, that black shadowy background also doubles to accentuate the floating panels that are showing close-up shots of his scarred and mangled body. Also, the way those panels work with the background image to guide your eyes around the page is brilliant. There's also a subtle usage of lines in the background image that tricks your eyes into going full circle on the page. If you look here, there are two horizontal pieces of duct tape, which create a sort of invisible panel that guides your eye to the left of the page, where they catch onto the feet of the person standing in the shadows, which then leads you back to the top of the page where you start the process over. This literally forces the reader to spend extra time on this page, which is very powerful from a storytelling perspective. This page is also the page that deviates the most from a standard left to right reading structure throughout this entire issue, which really amplifies the intensity of the event occurring and clearly communicates its significance. The last page that I'm going to talk about is the last page of the book, and the thing I want to point out here is the use of sound effects. Now, not specifically the sound effects themselves and the words they chose, which are great, but having those sound effects outside of the panels and the way that conveys the sense of the sort of disassociative effects of perception and action that you experience while being punched in the face. And I thought that was a really clever way to do it, to throw the words outside the panels so they're not directly associated with the action happening. And I just thought that was really clever and I really liked it. Well, that's all I have for this episode. Thank you so much for watching. If you feel so inclined, give me a thumbs up or subscribe. If you've been reading Fight Club 2, leave me a comment down below. I would love to hear what you think of it so far. Anyway, till next time,